Hello, everyone. This is Tebbs from Shouting at Clouds here with Dan from PCBWrestlePod, Matches of the Century, to bring you a review or a preview rather of Survivor Series Wargames 2024. Dan, welcome. How do you like the old surroundings, which are very much still the new Shouting at Clouds
Oh,
podcast?
shouting at clouds, yeah. The James McLean sponsored podcast.
Yeah, what can I say? We've got Cormac, who's normally here with me, but he's not so much of a wrestling fan as you might have learned. Basically, unless you're full of steroids and in the 80s, Cormac doesn't care about wrestling. So we're going to be previewing Survivor Series, and then also there'll be the review episode that I'll be doing Sunday morning. So be sure to tune in for that. And also, please give us a comment below, give this video a like, subscribe to us and follow us if you're not already following. We're going to be doing loads more audio, loads more videos on YouTube. If you like what we've got to say, then obviously get involved. So, how are you for Survivor Series then? 11 o'clock start in the UK. Can I just say
Oh,
straight off? Yeah.
thank God for that. I am delighted with that, Tebbs. That is
Mm.
absolutely brilliant. Got a little boy that is going to be waking me up. I was considering saying, oh, I might just not have him this Friday, but it's a bit harsh on him. So he can now see his dad on Friday night now, but the Survivor Series starts at 11. Because this Saturday, the little bastard came down at 6 o'clock in the morning, woke me up. So I'm still sat there 23 hours later watching an AEW pay-per-view that did not want to end.
It didn't. I was so relieved. I think did you text me in the middle of the night or something? I was asleep. I just couldn't be bothered for it, and I saw what happened the next day, and I'm like, oh, they're using bleach now. Fucking hell. What happened at the end of that? We'll quickly cover AEW Full Gear, was it?
Yeah, fuck it.
What was the shenanigans at the end? Moxley's taking over, and did you
Uh, it it
worth
was
watching?
basically it was TNA from 2009. No, it was just Moxley's taken over Annie. Then we had Hangman Page that came out. Jay White comes out. Christian comes out, right? And it's all interlinked because Hangman Page and Moxley had a feud 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Christian and Jay White had a feud on Collision for about a month. Okay. And then they're going to have a fatal four-way at the next pay-per-view. So it's really good that AEW's being this alternative. Do you know what I mean? Having a fatal four-way in the main event of the pay-per-view. They've got Christian cashing in his money in the bank briefcase. So yeah, I'm just really happy with this alternative. No, I'm not happy. This is why I'm just sick of AEW. The show, Tebbs, very, very good wrestling. The
Mm.
wrestling was good. But I feel like AEW have ruined good wrestling for me. I've seen that much of it. It's just, you need stories in it. I know people say they tell stories. They do, just not very good ones.
I couldn't believe it when they put Ricochet Will Ospreay on an episode of Dynamite,
Yeah.
and I just yeah, it's an amazing match, but there's no build, and you're giving us it for free. Austin walked out of WWE because they threatened to give a match against Brock Lesnar and have him
Lesnar.
go over on an episode of Raw. You know, that's the business. But anyway, so thankfully, whereas AEW has 27 matches in a 7.5 hour pay-per-view, we are getting 5 matches at Survivor Series this year. A lot of different build. We're going to start off. I'm going to go in the order of what I think is going to be the running order on the night. The women's war game match, I think, is going to kick us off. Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Naomi, Io Sky, and Bayley against the Judgment Day, Morgan and Rodriguez, Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton, and Candice LeRae. Most notable there is I said Bayley instead of Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill is injured indefinitely and was taken to a medical facility. Now, I've seen stuff online that she's actually out genuinely with either something that is such as a very bad neck injury, and I've also seen internet rumors of some a lot worse than that, which we're not going to sort of make light of. But what do you make of all, first of all, of Jay Cargill being out indefinitely? This could ruin sort of even Mania season for her.
Yeah, I know, because they've obviously been building towards this
Yeah.
inevitable Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair match that, to be fair, I think will be good at WrestleMania.
Mm.
Bianca might drag her kicking and screaming to that four-star match that we were talking about, but it is a bit of a shame because they built this and then she'll come back. But I was listening to something today, they were saying, I think it was Meltzer was saying that it was 3 months. That's what he'd been told. So hopefully you can have it. If it's 3 months, you think about it, she might be able to come back, maybe eliminate Bianca or something like that in the Rumble, and then just keep her off TV till Mania or something like that.
Yeah. You
Um,
you remember when Aleister Black got attacked? It was after he exploded his testicle in the ring. But do you remember when he got attacked in the ring in the parking lot of NXT, and he was out
yeah,
for a while and he came back, and then it was sort of this big who done it. And at the minute they're suggesting it might be Bayley that's done it, so she got on the War Games team. But I could really see that being a Bianca Belair moment where she says I was the one, or they show the CCTV in March, and it turns out it was Belair that did it, and they could really retcon this back into something of a heel turn now for Belair while all this is going on. So there's legs in it. They've got ways out of it, and that again, Triple H's booking up to now has been a bit predictable, but with CM Punk being announced as the fifth man of the original Bloodline team. It's opened up so many avenues. You're not a fan of the Punk Seth Rollins WrestleMania, are you?
I'm not, but I was daydreaming about this as I like to do often. And in my head, when I'm thinking Seth Punk at Mania, I've got what it would have been last year's Mania, where it's Seth the babyface, Punk a babyface. They'll
Yeah.
fire shots at each other, and then we'll get what we get on the night. But then I was thinking about it. If they do that this year, I think that it'll be Punk as the heel.
Right.
And I
Okay.
desperately, I'm sorry, CM Punk's been back in wrestling since 2021. I know he's been injured for half of that time, but we're coming up. It's over 3 years. The guy is a good baby face. He's a fantastic heel. No, you're not getting the best out of CM Punk when he's a baby face. He needs to be a heel. That's where he can deliver the heel run. I want to see it. I want to see him come out and say, I fooled you all. I've never liked WWE. I'm only here for the money. I
So,
want that side where Seth will bring that out of him by saying, you're not one of us. I'm the company
mm,
guy or whatever. The fans love me. You tried to go in another company and it failed. So you came here because nobody liked you. And then they can go. So I would actually be up for that if it's with those dynamics. And before I say this, people are saying Punk Roman. I would love to see it. I think it's a very bad idea. You've finally
mm,
got Roman Reigns as this over babyface. It's took a decade. Yeah. Why play with fire and put a CM Punk? CM Punk is going to have fans. He has cult fans, CM Punk. CM Punk will have fans that will cause a mixed reaction. If you have Roman v Punk, it's not going to be 80-20 Roman. It'll be
no.
60-40, which is not what you want. You want Roman. I'd keep him way apart from Punk, way apart. We'll do that down the line in a year or two. I don't think that should even be on the minds at the moment.
Okay. So that's what's obviously going on. So we've got the stories that are being written on the women's side. We've got CM Punk and the unpredictability of Triple H there in the main event. As for this, like I say, this women's war game match, Bailey's been brought in there. There's a possible heel turn there. Naomi has been looking a bit sus. There's lots of stories still going on, but I think the main story in this is that Tiffany Stratton has got the Money in the Bank contract, and she's going to be locked in a cage with the two champions, or one rather. So there's a lot to play with. There's a lot
Yeah.
going on, but I don't want two war games matches. I
I
don't.
don't want any.
Well, no, I don't want any actually. It's run its course. This should be used when this should have been used now this year when there is a genuine war
Yeah.
games need. The same way Hell in a Cell was brought back for Bad Blood because it was needed for Punk v Drew. But this women's war game match has been thrown together. It's there's no genuine sort of Io Sky and Bailey were uh, joined up for a while and they had a big rivalry with each other. It's just there's no sort of believability that these people would get together. We don't. I had preferred to have seen this as a traditional Survivor Series elimination tag match
Yeah.
like they used
I
to do.
miss those matches, Tebbs. I thought they was good. We've got to the stage with this where everyone's like praising Triple H, rightly so, right? But we've sort of got away from that. Oh, let's have a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. It's October, so there's a Hell in a Cell,
Yeah.
right? Now we're at the stage. It's November. It's let's have a War Games. Like you say, it makes sense. I joked about not, well, I didn't joke. I don't like War Games matches. You throw me the War Games between the Bloodline, the Bloodline faction, yeah. I'm excited for that. Perfect,
Mm.
perfect. It's in the perfect
Yeah.
stipulation even.
I
But
would
when
also.
we've had last year
Mhm.
where we had. I tell you what, I just want to play a little game with you, Tez. I've got this up in front of me because
Go
I
on.
could not remember this. Right? Can you? Okay. Can you remember the participants? Right in the women's war game match from last year, and we both watched this pay per view. I can't. I couldn't. You're
Uh,
more WWE than me. Can you
Ri
remember?
Ripley, Io Sky, last year's Shayna Baszler in there, and what's her name? Her mate Zoe Stark.
Right. This is the match, and I have no
Go on.
recollection of it. Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, Shotzi, and Becky Lynch. Yeah.
Shotzi. Okay. Yes.
Def
Right. Okay.
defeat Damage Control. I have no recollection of that match.
No, I remember Io Sky doing the moonsault off the cage and stuff, but no, I don't. And it wasn't needed. This is a bloodline match. It's a faction match. So yeah. So I'd have preferred to see this as just a straight tag match, and then it puts more on the War Games match later on.
Yeah.
Plus, there's no this a War Games match is going to be at least an hour and 10 minutes long because you need to wait 50 minutes before everybody gets into the ring and the match can actually start. So I've always found that confusing about War Games. Just put the bell rings and the match is going, and you could win the match before everybody gets in the cage. That'd be interesting. It adds some stakes to it. But with War Games matches, I don't even bother paying attention for the first 30 minutes because there's no risk to it. I don't
You
know.
could, you could go for a bath, couldn't you? You could run a bath during the
Yeah,
entrances, go
yeah,
for one, sit in it, dry yourself, come down, and you hear the bell ring.
yeah. And then you don't even start for a while. Up next, I reckon we're going to have probably what is going to be the best wrestling match of the night: Bron Breakker, Sheamus,
Yeah.
and Ludwig Kaiser. Triple threat for the Intercontinental. Is this Sheamus's moment? Is this going to be the babyface win for the night?
Mm, usually, I always say this rule in WWE matches. If there's three people in a match, if there's one babyface and two heels, the babyface is going to win. Vice versa.
Yep.
I call it the Randy Orton rule. Because at WrestleMania 24, it was John Cena babyface versus Triple H babyface versus Randy Orton heel. As soon as that match started, I thought Randy Orton's winning this, especially when they stuck it in the middle of the card. So that's usually what happens. But they flip flopped with Bron Breakker, didn't they? Do you really
No,
want to have him
I'd leave.
lose
I'd
again?
I'd leave
I'd
the
leave
belt
it
on
on
him.
him.
I'd leave the
Leave it on
belt
him
on
till
him.
WrestleMania. They had that great match on Raw. So maybe even do that at WrestleMania. Crown Sheamus at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Everyone would be happy to see that match. Just keep them apart from now until
Yeah.
WrestleMania and do it there, maybe.
It,
But it'd be a
with
good match.
Oh God, that is going to be. I think that's going to be the best wrestling match of the night. It's going to following that LA Knight. Yeah, I'm waiting for your face against Nakamura. Dangerous Nakamura, dark heel Nakamura. Doing his promos in Japanese, so he must be evil. What? I love LA Knight. I think this is going to be fun. Nakamura can get a good match.
I've got a question for you. Prediction time.
Hmm.
Is LA Knight going to mess up his suplex from the top rope and slip off like he does every week?
Nah,
Just
he didn't mess it
scrap
up in
it, mate.
Sheffield. He did it great in Sheffield when there
Oh,
were no
yeah.
cameras on
Where's the
him.
video footage?
Worth the entry fee alone. It's LA Knight.
Oh,
No, it's the first time I think you've got babyface Knight who's sort of cautious about Nakamura being a threat. LA Knight, even against Roman Reigns, considered himself equal, megastar, superstar. No one's going to worry me. Nobody panics me. Nobody bothers me. And this Nakamura seems to be somebody who he don't understand, he don't get, and constantly looking over his shoulder and things like that. So I think he's walking out there with a belt still. I think there's going to be some sort of shenanigans which keep it on him for now. But I think there's a lot more to go in that story.
I think it's a good little match. I think that it got added, and I think LA Knight, you're not going to take the title off him yet, so keep him going. He's a good opponent for Nakamura. They'll have a decent little match. If you didn't have the two War Games matches, I think this is a perfect match to open. Obviously, you can't do it because you need the women's and the
Yeah,
men's
yeah,
War Games to be as far apart as you can get it. But I
yeah.
think this would be a great little opener. You can go out there, get the crowd going, give us a nice little 3-star match or whatever. But I think it'll be a decent match.
Mm.
Where do you think it's going, this LA Knight title reign, Tebbs? Is it lose? It's lost a little bit of momentum. I think it's gaining it slowly back with this feud. But what's the end game? Who do you think's taking this? Where are we going with it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to think that they're building somebody up for the Intercontinental, but
Mm,
like they did for the Intercontinental with Sammy taking it off Gunter at WrestleMania.
yeah.
I'd like to think that they're going to use LA Knight as somebody who is going to build up one of these, young up and comers or, a development star or whoever. I mean, I'm trying to think who they've messed around with the belts, the rosters that much. I'm struggling to think who it could be, but like a Logan Paul, a Dominic Mysterio, that kind of thing. Somebody who finally takes it or cheats to take it off and he has to go hunting it back. But He is great on the mic. He's solid wrestler. He's dependable. He can do all the adverts. He does the interviews. He's great as a champion. So I just think leave that on him for a while until there's somebody else worthy enough. Nakamura, I
Do you
don't
want
think
who I want
right
him?
now.
Do
Go
you want
on.
who I want him to face? Right? Just hear me out. I know you like LA Knight, right? I think this would be a great thing to do. Right? So we love fantasy booking on here for WrestleMania, which we are both flying over the Atlantic to attend. Touch wood. Right?
I'm
WrestleMania
going.
night.
You do what you want.
We can't think of anyone who's take it off him, okay? So
Mhm.
I don't think this guy is going to be in a singles match at WrestleMania this year. Why not just have Jacob Fatu steamroll him at WrestleMania? Beat him in about 3 or 4 minutes, put the title on Fatu. Because with Solo Sakota, like he obviously transitioned into being what people expect Jacob Fatu to be in a year. It'll be like not the head of the family, maybe even,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But Solo Sikoa, they had a big win over Cena. Give Fatu his own stuff to do. Don't just have him as the
Mhm.
henchman who's in the
Yeah, the
background. Because
enforcer. Yeah, yeah.
Fatu's, yeah, do that as well for the matches, but have him go out there and do his own stuff as well. I think that'd be a really good way to go with it. But
Yeah, he is a bit of a
really,
sidekick at the minute, and he seems like he's a whole lot more than that. And he seems like he's just added on. That's actually a good idea. That and somebody like him taking the belt off Knight, who's had the title for just short of a year, to then just get absolutely smashed by somebody. I'd have no
yeah.
problem with that. Maybe even
I'd be happy
somebody.
seeing the rematch with Logan Paul. To be fair, I enjoyed that SummerSlam match. That was what match of the night for me at SummerSlam.
SummerSlam was Logan Paul. No,
LA
SummerSlam.
Knight.
Sorry, SummerSlam. Yeah,
Yeah, like they had a great match together. Do you remember? Because I was like, we reviewed it, I think, the next day, and I
yeah,
was
yeah.
like, match of the night was LA Knight here. What's
Yeah.
going on?
How's that possible?
He
One thing
didn't
I've noticed
flop.
is this is 5 matches again, a 5 match card, and apart from the winning women's war games match, we haven't got any other women's matches on. Now they've just introduced the women's US title. It's always got to be women's US title. It couldn't be anything else, can it? And the women's intercontinental belt. What are you making of these second tier titles being added to the women's roster for WWE?
It rings alarm bells for me. That's what it does. It rings alarm bells. As someone
Mhm.
who's watched most AEW episodes, apart from the last few months since it started, AEW was fine. It was doing really well. It was on the up. And then this slot started adding more titles. And I think that's a big part. What it does, it creates for me lazy booking. When AEW first started, there was about 2 or 3 titles, okay?
Yeah,
Yeah. And then what
yeah,
it does, instead of having to book well thought out storylines, just have a number one contenders match for the title. Have a tournament. I think
tournament.
too many belt. If there's so many belts, damn it, we've got so many in NXT. I just don't think we need it. We've got. Is there's an NXT? Is there a women's North American title in
Yeah,
NXT?
yeah. Now the thing is, I will listen to Alvarez and Meltzer, I think, and there are what did they say, 12, 14 women on the SmackDown roster, and then there's about 20 on the Raw, and I think they said there was about over 20 women on the NXT roster. And what they're suggesting is that both Raw and SmackDown are going to be 3 hours from January. They're going to promote some talent up, make it a sort of an even sort of 20, 22 on women on each TV channel, on each program. And then you've got the fuller roster in a 3 hour show to have more belts defended because they need more content and stuff. I'd have preferred to see one women's intercontinental champion
Yeah,
and
like the
have that,
tags.
like the tag, and well, yeah, and they travel between shows, open challenges. That champion moves around
Yeah,
because then it gives more competition. You can try and have more rivalries and stories built up from your lower tier women and actually give them something to do other than pad out a war games match or just scrap with each other every now and then. There's too many belts for me, especially like I say with NXT as well. But it does mean that there's going to be more opportunities for these cards to have a women's title match on when your women are like, I mean, look at this now. Your two women's title holders are involved in the War Games match. So unless there's a decent women's undercard story going on at the minute, which there isn't, so it's another it's a prop. It's
yeah.
it's just
To me though, do we need more time? We're having less matches on these pay-per-views than ever. So do we
mhm.
really need to be adding more titles? Like what is there like 10 titles in WWE, not including NXT, probably more. And we only ever have five or
Yes,
six matches on pay per view.
yeah.
So You're never going to make, I'm sorry, but you're never going to make these titles seem prestigious by just having them defended now and again on TV. They need to be in pay-per-view matches. I'm not calling it PLE. They need to be, do you know what I mean? Whatever it is, Netflix specials, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, it's going to be a Netflix live special with a constant little buffering circle going on.
Oh, flipping heck.
Oh, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Did you see what Triple H said about that? People
No,
complaining
no.
about the Paul versus Tyson match, and Netflix kept buffering. And Triple H basically said, if 60 million households all on that first Monday night watch Raw, and there's a little bit of buffering, I'll be happy.
It's
And
good
he's fucking
shout,
right.
innit?
Yeah. Netflix have already paid us. So if 60 million people are going to be watching and 1 million of them decide to buy a t-shirt, he's fucking happy. Gunter versus Damian Priest. We don't need this again.
The, the, I watched a bit of the build for this. They've done a decent little job, you know. I was ready to come on and I watched a few videos before when I got back from work, Tebbs, and I was ready to come back and be like, why have they put this on the card? And I'm watching it and I'm thought, oh, I'm gonna have to be balanced, which I hate having to do. And they've done an all right job with it. The build's been
I
all
don't.
right.
Yeah, there's a build, but Priest is there like saying, "You're insecure, Gunter, and your title reign hasn't been great." And it's like, out of all of them, he's probably had a better title reign, better wrestled, more dominant than Cody. And just because he lost to Cody at Crown Jewel, suddenly Gunter's losing
Yeah.
his cool. It just seems like I'm like babyface Priest coming in, and I like Damian Priest. You ripped the piss out of me for that, but I like Damian Priest. But
Whoa,
it,
whoa, 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 whoa. Rewind. Danny Morton, when we get
yeah,
Danny as a guest on this show, he will tell you this. I used to constantly message him, say, Danny, this guy, Punishment Martinez in Ring of Honor, he needs to be in WWE. This guy's going to be a star. And then they put him on the main roster. And I'll admit, I was a bit like, I think he's upper mid carder. I just didn't want to see him win the title at WrestleMania.
yeah,
But I will admit, he had a good title reign. He sort of turned me around. And I will say about this match, although I think I messaged you saying, why are they doing this again? In
yeah,
fact, I did. I got thinking, one of my thoughts at SummerSlam was, this match was going really well. And then they had Finn Balor coming out and just staring into space for about 5 minutes.
yeah.
And it
Doing
ruined the
his
match. So now the
doing his
Judgment Day
journey.
aren't around as much, the Judgment Day,
Mm.
hopefully, in this match. But they can go out there and they can have... Do you know what? On the quiet, if these War Game matches deliver... Yeah, we know what we're going to get out of LA Knight and Nakamura. It's going to be fine. It'll be a hot crowd,
Yeah,
yeah, for that match. And then we've got two other matches here that we've been talking about, the triple threat and this
hmm
one, that could actually be good matches. So
yeah.
this could be a really strong pay-per-view for WWE in ring-wise.
I think they've had to make it a really strong card because, I mean, you remember nothing can beat last year where CM Punk
No.
came out. Nothing can beat that, um, unless The Rock's going to come out. So that leads us into the main event, which is the Bloodline War Games match. The match that was announced like 4 weeks ago, but we knew has been coming for about 4 months. Um, Original Bloodline, Roman Reigns, the Usos, Sami Zayn, and CM Punk with Paul Heyman against the new Bloodline 2.0. Solo, Fatu, Tonga, and Tamabocha with Bronson Reed, Big Bronson Reed. So the story's going into this. Original Bloodline asked Seth to be a part of the team. He said, no way am I going to team with Roman. They were a man short. I did a video and it was my kind of I don't think this will happen pick, but I'd want it to was
I
CM
watched
Punk.
it.
Yep. So CM Punk came out. Paul Heyman, very noticeable in his dress, which is almost identical to Solo Sikoa. Now, is that just Heyman playing games? Is this new Heyman? Are we going to get Punk turning on the bloodline for Heyman? I don't know. So there's lots of stuff going on there. We've also got the fact that Rollins is going to be very angry with Punk for joining with Roman. Yeah, there's a lot to, and is also wanting to get his hands on Bronson Reed that's on the other side, on the other team. So, quick yes or no: is Bronson Reed a good addition to the new bloodline?
Hated it at first, but I like it now.
Okay, is CM Punk the right pick for the OTC group in this match? Is CM Punk the right choice? Should it have been Lesnar? Should it have been Cody?
Should have been 4-on-4. Should have kept it 4-on-4.
Yep, there we go. Um, this match is all going to be all about storyline. So where are we going with
Uh,
this? What are we laying the breadcrumbs for WrestleMania now? Because this is where it starts now. This is
yeah, let's get our teeth stuck into this, right?
yeah.
Got a lot going through my idea. I'm going to start with this. No, I'm not going to start on a negative for once. I'm going to go to a negative imminently, right? So the main thing that people are going to think is, oh, is Punk going to turn on Roman? Punk and Heyman turn on Roman. Yeah. I don't think it's the right time as much as that's a dream match for me, right? But then again, if Heyman turns on Roman, he then is technically turning on Punk. So I'd like for this to be somehow worked out as Punk turning, Heyman turning, but not together. And I don't know how they do that. I think my gut is just on me. We're going to get some stuff, which I'm excited for. Rollins coming. I didn't think I'd ever say that. Rollins coming down to the ring. Some interaction with Roman, because that then plays on WrestleMania, where that was in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
It come down in the Shield gear. That'd be hilarious. But I do like the fact we're obviously going Punk Rollins route, aren't we?
Yeah.
Punk is coming to the team. You got Bronson on the other side, and Rollins is trying to feud with Bronson or whatever, right? So CM Punk's basically stepped into where his side of things.
Mm-hmm.
But Tebbs, what is bugging me about this? I sat and watched WWE 2012, 2013. I'm not like a lot of these people who have now jumped onto WWE think everything's brilliant all the time. Yeah, I like to call them the TikTok generation. So what all these people, I'm not saying this is all listeners, won't remember is, I'm thinking, hold on, CM Punk left and came back. Do people not
Mm-hmm.
remember what happened in CM Punk's last year? Okay, Paul Heyman turned on CM Punk. Okay, and Brock Lesnar and Heyman destroyed CM Punk. Then later on in CM Punk's last few months in the company, we had Paul Heyman with Curtis Axel feuding against CM Punk. Okay, so CM Punk and Heyman was a long, long, long feud that never ended with any reconciliation. I know they had the segment on SmackDown in the summer, and I was watching that thinking, as much as I love this, I would have liked, and I thought Triple H would have picked up on this, but maybe it's just me with a 10-year memory. We could have just had a segment where they sort of touched on that fact that they'd
Yeah.
fallen out. But if Brock Lesnar comes back and destroys CM Punk or something like that, then I'm all for it. But I would have liked, as a long-term fan, like, contrary to popular belief, WWE didn't start in the year 2022 when Cody signed and
Yeah.
Roman got big. There was stuff before that.
So
What do you think?
so where we're at now, so yeah, the CM Punk Paul Heyman thing, I wasn't watching at that time. I think they've just retconned that. The bit over the summer has laid that groundwork for Heyman and Punk, where Punk was saying "Take me with you" to Punk. Heyman was saying "Take me with you," and it's kind of sort of it's laid that them breadcrumbs. It's all breadcrumbs, and to say it's long-term
Yeah.
storytelling, it's not. It's just leaving little plot threads dangling that you can pick up on later on and run with. So Heyman coming back dressed as Solo. I don't know what we've got to go there. Is this just? I think this might just be new Heyman, cool Heyman. I don't know. Maybe it's just him playing on it. I don't know. Is bringing Punk back now for me. Now this puts Heyman on the same level as Roman. If he doesn't turn on him, Heyman is now the wise man, another part of this bloodline, because Roman owes him one now. He's not the wise man sniveling in the corner, walking around, kissing Roman's ass. He's owed a favor from the tribal chief. So I can't see it happening in terms of the turn on Sunday night. You can't turn Punk and Heyman at the same time.
I just want to see it though. What
Unless,
basically? Go on.
unless Punk does turn on Roman during the match, but that has to set up a Punk Roman WrestleMania, which it's too soon for.
We don't want to see. I don't want to see
So
yet.
Heyman may also feel angry at Roman for abandoning him to Solo. He left him to be bullied and tormented and put through a table all over the summer, and Roman was nowhere to be seen. So maybe Heyman does want revenge on him. The other thing I'm thinking is, put all that to one side, what if we get the Rollins heel turn, and as Punk's coming to the ring, he gets attacked by Rollins and says, you know what I
No,
mean,
I don't
takes
want
him
to
out of
see.
the... No, but then it becomes a 4v5 anyway. and your 4 babyface bloodline have to fight from underneath with only 4 members now, and that sets up Rollins Punk going into it. Rollins is angry, he heel turns. So
the ending of the match, Tebbs, what are you saying? Are you going with, there's 2 ways, isn't there? Sorry to cut you off.
No, go on.
It's either going to be Roman's team's going to win, yeah? The Rock's music hits.
Yeah.
He's now taking Solo's place at the top of that family and he's going for Roman or whatever. Okay? Or Solo wins and then that causes Solo wins and maybe CM Punk's, but Solo wins, Rollins, like you said, attacks Punk and costs the victory for Roman's team. And then it's Roman's like, what are you doing? Heyman, it's on you. You brought him in. Then that, with the Bloodline storyline, I never expect big things. I feel like it's going to be small chapters, especially going to Mania. But what's the end game for Mania? Is it Rock Roman? If it is, let's get going with it now. But is it?
I don't think it is.
Do you know?
I think it's. You hate it. I think we're still getting a triple threat. Rock, Roman, Cody. We saw Raw after Mania, and The Rock came out and said, "See you next year." Basically, Rock knows the money is now against the match with Cody. Roman's going to get thrown in on it. Rock will come out number 30 of the Rumble, where the last one in is Solo, and Solo eliminates himself for the final boss. Rock wins the Rumble, says I'm going to Mania against Cody. Roman says I want a bit of you at thing, goes in the Elimination Chamber. He wins it. He calls his shot against Cody as well, and you've got a triple threat. Then you have Cena, Gunter, Orton, Kevin Owens, and etc. Punk, Rollins. There you go.
Or you don't spunk your 3 biggest matches in the company in Roman, Cody, which is big now. I'll admit that. That is a big match to do again. Rock, Cody, they set up in April. And obviously Rock, Roman. So you got them 3 huge matches. You could do them the next 3 years at a Raw and a Mania. Or you can do a 3-way. But something you said there, Orton, Kevin Owens, Tebbs. I don't think that's, for me, I think that's Rumble. WrestleMania.
Yeah, it might be done by that, actually.
Kevin Owens is fuming at people for siding with Roman Reigns. What match? I'll be annoyed if we don't see this at Mania. I want the over Sami Zayn that we've got today against the menace Kevin Owens. I think we're getting that at Mania. Gotta be done.
Well, for a grander ticket to sit in California and watch it in Vegas, then yeah, I think they need to spunk every match they've got at this.
Not absolutely.
3-way. Well, they want to get them both on. But yeah, Owens, Orton, Cody versus Orton would be a great match. After the build with them, maybe Owens can turn Orton against him. I don't know. We've got so much coming, but one of them's going to be a triple threat or something. But it's going to be Punk, Rollins. Yeah.
What's wrong with just doing Rock versus Roman, Cody versus Orton, Cena versus Gunther, Sammy versus KO? 4 huge single matches. Let's go. That's all we need to do. Those 4 big singles matches. You can have LA Knight in his little 3-way.
You got to get Cena on there.
Cena Gunther.
Cena Gunther. Sorry.
We're 4 huge matches there. Let's go. I hate people. Do you know what? Sorry, I was actually. I've just heard myself say this, right? I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they said, "Let's go." And I'm really sorry. I don't want to offend anyone here, right? There's nothing more that makes me cringe when I hear an American bloke thinking he's dead masculine and going, "Let's go." I sit there and I think there's nothing least masculine than shouting, "Let's go." And I'm sorry, I just had to get that out there. So with that said, triple threat at Mania. Let's go.
Well, whatever it's going to be great. And there's going to be a video coming on this channel very soon. I've put one out recently of the footage that I managed to get of Cody versus Roman Night 2 WrestleMania 40. I'm going to be putting the Night 1 Rock, Roman versus Cody and Seth. The footage isn't great. We were on the floor that night, weren't we? It literally looks like you're at the back of the crowd trying to watch it, but it gives you the feel for how it is being there. And do you spend all that money on floor seats for a WrestleMania? No. And don't do it. Don't do it. Let the rich idiots sit down there. first or second tier. That's a shouting at clouds top tip of the week. If you're going to be going to WrestleMania, tier 1, tier 2, you don't need to be on the floor. Great experience, but you can't see shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So review coming up. Give this a like. Comment below. What do you think is going to happen at WrestleMania? Who do you think is going to win the War Games matches? Where can they find you on Patreon? And come on.
People on YouTube can see me laughing, and I'm gonna have to. You just said it's a great experience, but you can't see anything.
It's a great experience of being in the arena, being on the floor, being in the middle of it all. That's what I mean. It's not
like smashing a bird. It's like smashing a bird in the dark. It's a great experience. You can't see anything.
You just can't see anything. And it wasn't as cold as that either. Anyway, yeah, Survivor Series this weekend. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.